So happy to be back in one of my favorite places to visit, one of my favorite places in the Southeast. I'm there virtually, of course. I wish I was there in person. And I'm talking about Greenville, South Carolina. Aubree Lewis is joining the podcast. Aubree, welcome.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Great to have you. I'm so impressed with your setup, your audio, your studio. Really well done. I was chatting a little bit before we hit record about I'm actually in between offices right now, in between houses. So I'm borrowing some
Which
office
sucks,
space here in
by
town.
the way. Nobody likes moving.
No, I haven't moved in so long. It's so funny. You know, we're in the real estate industry. We move people all the time. But, wow, I forgot. You never know how much your house
It's a
has
good
until you.
reminder.
Yeah. It really is. Aubree, seriously, really appreciate you joining the podcast. How's everything in Greenville, South Carolina?
Oh, it's good. I mean, we're the relocation capital of the country, it sounds like. So we're real busy and growing, but Greenville's awesome. There's always so many things to do here, and it keeps us busy, and people are awesome here as well. Yeah.
Greenville checks a lot of boxes. And you don't need me to ring the bell for Greenville, South Carolina, because I know the secret is mostly out. But between the climate, the landscape, the population, the ease of getting around to other areas of the Southeast, and also being in the foothills there of the Appalachian Mountains or the Smokies, and Greenville, South Carolina has one of the best downtowns of any city in the Southeast, I think.
Yeah, we actually, my husband remembers the downtown before Falls Park Bridge was there. And so it's only been in the last 20 or so years that has become what it is today. And I feel like so many people, like, they search places to relocate. Greenville, South Carolina shows up. Then all they see is pictures of downtown bridge, the walk, the Swamp Rabbit Trail, tree lined downtown. It's really something. I think it draws a lot of people here. I know our tourism industry has really picked up. There's a lot of people that just visit here, which I think is interesting. I have met so many people on vacation in the last year that they're coming to check it out, because why not?
Yeah, absolutely. My wife and I have enjoyed long weekends there in Greenville, South Carolina. We're in the Charlotte area, actually in the process of moving to Hickory. So I'm in between Charlotte and Hickory right now. But yeah, we just love getting over to Greenville once in a while, spending a weekend. The dining scene is amazing. Trapdoor is like, you won't find anything like Trapdoor anywhere else. So I always hit that restaurant when we're there.
Fun. We went to a new steakhouse actually this week called the Cork and Cleaver, and it was a really good steakhouse, but lots of seafood as well. It was right there in the middle, but it was just so good. I was like, man, we got like this massive charcuterie board that wasn't charcuterie. It was like steaks, a tomahawk, and a lobster tail. It was just amazing. So the food scene here we are so spoiled here in Greenville.
Yeah, I would say so. Plus the rooftop bars and restaurants. There's a couple of those downtown as well that are a lot of fun. Yeah, Falls Park is so cool.
It is. And they keep developing downtown, and there's so many different angles of just picturesque, because I do a lot of video for my business, and so we do a lot of video downtown because it's so relatable. So many people know what they are looking at, but it's like we've got towers that have just popped up over the last 10 years, and it's really neat.
Yeah, the architecture is so pretty, and there's there's also a couple other. Well, I could just go on and on. Gather Greenville is an outdoor food court that is just awesome. Yeah. Unfortunately, my favorite cheesesteak place relocated, but still, Gather Greenville has got so many great places there.
Have you been down to the Commons?
No, where's that?
Okay, so if you like Gather, Next time you come and visit, go to the Commons. It's right down from Unity Park, and it's this old mill building. That's kind of this area's thing. Since we used to be a textile mill industry, there's a lot of those old textile mills. So instead of just bulldozing them, taking them down, they make them into condos, businesses, restaurants, event halls, like all sorts of things. And the Commons they've made it into like boutique businesses. There's an event space, and then there's all of these restaurants that have been put in, and it's right along the Swamp Rabbit Trail. And then they added Unity Park, which is just great to go and walk. There's a splash pad for kids, places just kind of hang out. But when you drive by it, it's got like the big Unity, I don't know, they're like huge. You kind of climb inside of the letters. It's so cool.
Well, yet another reason to go back and visit downtown Greenville, South Carolina. So I'll have that on my list for our next visit for sure.
Perfect.
Aubree, I want to ask you a little bit about your career. The reason we connected was you were featured. Obviously, I'm a big fan of your marketing. I love what you're doing, how you're utilizing video, and just so much of what you do resonates with me, and I see a lot of value in it. Featured you, of course, in article that I posted, a blog post on the website, epicagentspodcast.com, featuring just the best Greenville, South Carolina real estate agents to watch in 2026. And you were prominently featured there and so kind to connect with me and get on the podcast. So I wanted to ask you a little bit. Let's go back in time just shortly, briefly, and talk about what you were doing before real estate and what inspired you to launch this career.
Golly. Yeah, so that's a fun little story. I went to a really conservative Christian college. Have a degree in it's called biblical counseling. I have a double major in Bible and psychology, and just kind of realized I didn't want to do that. And I was also doing a lot of artwork on the side. Was my first business that I opened myself. Was I sold art that I did. So if you go into the dregs of the internet, you may be able to scratch the detail, and that's my artwork. But it's really hard to make a living as an artist. And I think looking back, I wish I would have had a business degree and been able to really focus there. But I went from college to retail. I worked for 6 years for Hobby Lobby, and ended up with, I guess, sales kind of pushed at me. I worked with their frame shop. We were constantly taught to upsell things and helping people be creative to create what would look good in their home. And so I did that. I ended up getting into upper management, which means I then traveled the state. Traveling the state when you have little kids at home is for the birds. It's really bad. So I decided that there had to be something more. And so I had a friend from college that had gotten into real estate, and he and another acquaintance started a real estate team here in Greenville. They really took off. When I looked at real estate, I was like, well, darn, I mean, I can sell this over here. What's the difference in just selling this over there? Well, it was a lot. But I said if I was ever going to get out of retail, I would love to get into business in real estate with my friends. And so I reached out, took about a year to really make that transition out of retail into the real estate space. And it's literally, I think it's God. Like, I got put in the right place at the right time to learn how to do this really, really well. I got a really crazy start to real estate. My first year, I closed 42 units on a team and just took off. But really, that foundation is like all of that to that foundation is why I am where I am today.
Yeah, that's amazing. And you're not the first broker I've talked to or connected with that began their career in retail. And so not a bad background at all. I get the whole traveling. What a drag that can be, especially when you have young kids at home, for sure.
Yeah, and you're getting paid pennies for it.
Yeah. Who are you affiliated with?
So I am with Keller Williams Drive here in Greenville.
Okay, excellent. What would you say are your areas of expertise when it comes to residential retail, real estate sales? Do you lean listing? Do you lean buyers? Do you lean investors? What's your
right now
focus?
When I first started my team, it was very much buyers. We're just helping buyers. Of course, I have listing business. However, buyers were my strength. About 4 years ago, I was like right as COVID was getting started, and I took a step back and was like, I really want a bigger business than what I have right now. And when I say that, like, we were already closing over right around 100 transactions a year as a team. And I was like, something needs to change. And so I was already very social media based, but it was kind of like a free for all. I just helped everybody. Now I can say we are a relocation specialist here in the Greenville, South Carolina area. Yes, we help everybody. Like, if you're an investor, land, construction, like, we do it. If you're here locally, we do that. But 60% of our business relocates here from out of state. And it really took me taking a step back and saying, well, who is my favorite people to work with? Well, honestly, they're older than me because I would like the people that I love working with are established. They know what they like. And they've got a budget, like, they've got money. It's such a drag whenever you're like, I love first time home buyers just like the next person, but at the same time, they don't have a lot of money and a lot of times credit problems. And I was just like, I would love to work with who I work with. So we created the avatar, somebody who was 45 to 65 plus, someone who was in they had a career field that they were in, or they were nearing their end of career field and looking retirement, maybe looking at a second career. And then I was like, well, there's so many people relocating here to the Upstate, and I keep hearing about it in all these crazy top 10 lists that every single news outlet seems to put out. How do I get those people? And then I had a friend who just said, Aubree, you need to take the video that you're doing over here on Facebook, Instagram, and you need to get really good at that and go put it on YouTube. Well, I waited about 3 years to do that and wish I would have started it like that day, like when he said, go do it. I think we'd be in a very different scenario right now. However, I did that, and that's what has led to relocation.
Makes total sense. Yeah. And I'm in the same boat. I wish I had started and worked more at publishing content on YouTube earlier in my career as well. I think it's still an underutilized and really valuable tool for sure,
much.
Especially when attracting buyer clients and specifically relocation clients. Definitely.
Very much. I mean, it's amazing. Like, in the world of, like, we'll just say content creation, because there's all the different platforms. The long form content creation is where you find the more serious buyers, sellers, but it's also who is going to actually transact, and you just have to figure out that way to capture it. You're building rapport, you're building everything that, like, to me, the perfect client who just comes to you and says, hey, we love you. You don't know us. We know who you are. Let's go. Like, help us buy a house. Where, like, I think don't get me wrong, like, the long form content is a little bit more difficult to make, I think, just because there is a system to it. I see a lot of realtors content creators making short form content. And I heard something, this is kind of silly, but it's like short form content is what you watch on the toilet. Like it's like, what do you do? But the short form content also has its space. You just have to do so much more of it to keep your name, your face, your business in front of somebody, where the long form get to an average of like 20 minutes, and that's a TV show. And so then you build that and they actually remember your name, which is what was so powerful to me whenever I really started diving into it.
I 100% agree. The longer form content is going to attract those who are actually searching for what you do and the information that you provide. And they're really, I think, intentionally seeking out this sort of content. Whereas, TikTok and Instagram and, doom scrolling and so forth. I heard the analogy too that like in a podcast episode, a marketing expert, this was probably 7 years ago, so it's even more relevant, I think, today. But he said he was talking about the value of an email list, and he said, I would rather have 1,000 email subscribers than 100,000 Instagram followers. And he's like, what difference does it make if somebody in New Zealand sitting on their toilets looking at my content on Instagram, right? So
isn't that the truth?
Yeah.
Like it's absolutely nuts. Whenever you look at all of that, I had to explain this to one of my video people. I was like, hey, the YouTube thing, it's one of those where like, yes, it like everybody wants the dopamine hit of lots and lots of views, lots of interactions, and like going viral. But if it's a really well-crafted piece of content, it could be one of the lowest performing pieces that you have, but create the highest amount of return. And we see that on a regular basis where we've slowed down, created a piece of content that we know our viewers are specifically looking for. And those people, if you think through, you can look at, the reason I love like the content creation is the analytics that we get on the backside of it. Like, I don't know any other real estate lead generation bucket, basically, that you can have the depth of analytics that YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, like I can look and say, okay, I know that my people that are just like casually viewing, they're like my, top of funnel, or bottom of funnel. They're not really going anywhere. They're not making their decision yet. Then you have these middle people that they're pretty regular viewers. Like they watch every so often, but they're not like every single time you see a video. And then you have your top of funnel, like the people who like I can predict based upon those numbers my transactions for the next month or two. Because if 200 people are watching and interacting regularly every time I put out a video, it's a database conversation, and then it's just math. If 200 people are watching, 10% of them are going to come in and be ready to transact, which means I know that 20 of those 200 are going to do it. It's like when you're able to have consistency and some predictability in a real estate business, it's amazing.
It is amazing. And that's the difference, really. That's what makes it a business, right? Being able to, you mentioned like it's just basic math. It's a numbers game is something that I've always said as well. And I love social media for nurturing your sphere, just kind of keeping them, your existing sphere. For me personally, that's what I lean on it for, and also for running ads. It's still a great place to get to grow an email newsletter list. A great place to share an upcoming event or open house. But I honestly don't think I've ever received a buyer or seller lead based solely from social media. And I have quite a few followers on several different platforms here locally. But YouTube for sure, Google search, which is another topic for sure.
Absolutely.
But I love the analytics too, and I haven't gotten into YouTube isn't driving business for me the way it is for you because
Yeah.
I haven't gone deep enough yet, and I haven't and employed the system that you should have and the type of
Hmm.
content. I publish a lot of aspirational content, so I get a lot of
Hmm.
lookers.
Yeah.
But I think that informational content is really, really valuable. But I will say that on the social media side, I have through advertising really taken a dive into the analytics, and I know objectively
Yes.
how much it's going to cost to acquire an email subscriber, or how
Hmm.
many how many views I need to get a certain number of folks to show up to an open house or a broker open. So
Hmm.
I love the analytical side, and it reminds me
Yes.
too of one of my favorite quotes from a book by a just an amazing marketer and influencer. And the line in his book said, "If you can't pay money to acquire a customer, you don't have a business." And his
Mm.
point was like, you have to be able to understand how advertising works, how to track
Mm.
those analytics, those metrics, and to dial it in to where your cost of client acquisition, you're able to drive it down and be more efficient where you're profitable, right? So that's again another conversation as
Absolutely.
well. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely one of those like, I just look, there's so many different like it's not just a realtor conversation. It's
hmm
definitely a business owner conversation
yeah,
but for real estate specifically, like how many realtors just fly by the seat of their pants, think they have this amazing business and have no life. And I don't know about you, but like I look, I've got three kids, 12, 9, and 3.
oh, you're busy.
And I like, but yes, I am. And like, I will have teenagers in 2 years. My goal is to get myself out of production, but produce enough business to where I have a team, a business that runs. And like, my favorite part about this, and I think more realtors should have this be their favorite part, is creating the business, lead generating. There are so many people that I sit down with, or I'll be talking to realtors, and they're like, "I just love filling out a contract," or like, "I love showing houses," and that's great. Like you can do that, and I know those same people that I have those conversations with that burn out in like 4 years later, and they're like they can't keep doing it. And so how do we like all of this, like the content creation part of our business? I think it goes back to like I listen to a lot of Gary Vee. He's awesome. And he's like, you need to be posting so much. It is an attention game, and it's only going to be free for so long. So that is where like it's free for me to post to YouTube right now. It's free for me to post to Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and LinkedIn. And like I've even started like dabbling and looking at Substack and saying, okay, like if this is where the eyeballs are, then let's grow something where like my goal for the business is that all of our agents are making 6 figures plus, and being able to say they have amazing lives and they don't have to do the struggle that so many realtors do. That whenever like it burns me so bad whenever I see a realtor post on Facebook sitting at the beach writing a contract, and I'm like, that is like the saddest thing in the world to see. I'm like, dude, your kids are playing in the waves. Go like jump with them. Stop it. Read a book that isn't a business book. Just you, I don't know. Like that stuff, it gets me to where that's where I work so hard to lean into the things that I know that I'm good at. Lean into the things that as a realtor, that are going to serve my clients really well. I actually like today I'm turning down a client because they're going to take from me my peace, my ability to work well. Like they only want to work with me. Like dude, I've already done enough business this year. I don't have to. So why am I going to work with somebody who just gives me more stress? Like, that is the place for realtors to get to. And I just want more realtors to get to that place, because then they run really good businesses.
Absolutely. I have two things to add to that, and both involve the same broker. And that is Ben Bowen, who's been a guest on this podcast. He's a top producer here in the Charlotte, Lake Norman area as well, and with Sotheby's, and just a tremendous guy, and really, really savvy broker and businessman. He said in our conversation, when I asked him for tips for new realtors or those thinking about becoming realtors, he said the one question a new broker needs to ask themselves is, how do I intend to acquire business? And everything else is noise. Showing homes, shooting videos, the car you're driving, all the lifestyle doesn't exist until you understand how you intend to acquire business.
1,000%.
The other thing he said, we had coffee recently with another mutual friend of ours who was also a guest on this podcast at one time. Cool. And we were talking about what success looks like for everybody and why we became self-employed, essentially, and owning our own businesses. And my response was, to your point, what you just said, the example you said just a minute ago, and that is, my response was, success for me is when I get to a point where I can say no, where I can comfortably turn away a client, a potential transaction that I know does not serve me well and does not serve them well, and so somebody laughed and said, "Oh, so your goal is to turn away business." I was like, "Well, look, kind of in the grand scheme of things, right? I originally became self-employed because I wanted the ability to say no to I wanted the ability to work with people who I like, at the end of the day."
Yes. And it's just not, I don't know, like, I remember those times that I couldn't say no to somebody. And I was like, this person's going to absolutely chew me up and spit me back out again for what? I'm going to make maybe $6,000, $7,000. And the amount of time that I'm going to invest in that? No. Like, if somebody's going to do that, like, I better be getting like $60,000.
Right.
But that's true. And, but I remember those days, golly, like sitting down, pounding the phones, before I knew how I wanted to produce business, and I let the team produce business for me. And I think like that's a place for a lot of people that they just choose, like that's where they want to be. And I guess when I was on the team that I was on, when I first started, I was growing, I was doing a lot of business, and I was like, hey, I need help showing houses. I've got at the time I only had 2, but I had a newborn. And I was like, I can't do this. Like, team meeting starts at 8 a.m. Schools doesn't start until like 8:30 for my kids. Like, I was driving an hour to get into the office because I had to like drive half an hour to my free childcare. Then I had to like come back into the office. And then I got in trouble if I didn't show up on time. And then I was begging for more help. And like, I just kind of looked at my business, and I had been taught how to track my numbers, track where my business came from. And I looked up and I was like, man, 70% of my business is from the team, and 30% of it is me and my generation efforts. And I need to hire a showing partner. They had recently told me, no, you can't. I was going to build a team within the team. And then I was like, okay, well, I can't afford to leave right this very moment, but how fast can I switch that amount of business? And it took me about 6 months, but I made that switch. And I went from 70% to the team to 70% of the business was me. And I was actually turning down the team business. And then I was like, okay, now I think I can go do this on my own. Let's go create my own systems. Let's make the business fit my life. And I mean, golly, I wouldn't change anything other than I wish, like, no, I wouldn't change anything because it taught me something very valuable. Whenever you're in it, this goes towards like the team, the brokerage that any realtor decides to build, or a solo business. Like, if you bring people into that business, you need to be able to grow your world to encompass theirs. And the moment that their world grows outside of what your world is, that's when you lose them. And that's whenever it's like, okay, like, I either have to grow or I have to be okay where I'm at. And so there's so many realtors that are okay where they're at as single producing agents. They make really good money. And they're good with that, and they have their own systems. A lot of them don't have to me, I'm also going, okay, well, what's my retirement plan? Do I want to retire? Is it something like, I don't know, like, what do you want? And so I left the team when my world grew bigger than theirs. And my big thing is, like, my people, whenever they come in, and they want to do this really well, because I don't take anybody into the team that isn't going to absolutely give their best. If they're not going to give us that for the people that we're helping with their largest assets, then they're not they don't align. And I think, like, the content creation part is fun. That's the creative part. But the business part is, there's a lot of very cutthroat, unhappy realtors out there. And I hear it every single day. But what would happen if they were actually given value and they were led to say, hey, like, it's okay to ask for help, or it's okay to really to not follow the way everybody else says you have to create your leads. I think, I don't know, that's something that I've been thinking about a lot recently, is just how we do that.
The various seasons of business ownership, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it never stops evolving. And I get it. The other thing you said earlier that resonated with me too was how you are sort of crafting not an exit strategy, but a way of sort of rendering yourself unneeded in the business, to be able to free up your time, right? To spend more time with your kids, and to be able to clock out, like be able to go to the beach and not bring the laptop, right?
Exactly. And it's kind of, this is what I'm currently working on, is what does it look like if I was able to sit in my 20%? So right now I'm like doing it all, and it's not fun. We're hiring a director of operations to the team right now. We're hiring so many agents. Like, it's a scary number. But like, what does it look like if I could sit in what I love doing in this job, which is, like, this career for me is so, like, content creation is how I'm building my legacy. And that legacy is a business that maybe it runs without me. Maybe I get to the point where I only have to be in it, a day or two a week. But what does it look like to be able to build wealth that, like, I look at it from a, like, international impact. And I'm very aware that, like, there's only 1% of business owners in the world are female billionaires. Like, you thinking through that, and I'm like, only 1% of women are that. Like, well, okay, I need to get to millionaire first, then, like, go from there. But, like, what opportunity does that give? And, where are we able to give back, and where are we able to grow? And it's just that whole impact through this fun little thing called real estate.
Aubree, the last 34 minutes has flown by. It always does. And I only asked you for 30 minutes. But before I let you go, I got to ask you real quick some tips for real estate agents, myself included, selfishly, who are not utilizing YouTube to its potential. Some tips on the types of content that you find kind of low-hanging fruit, pretty simple and straightforward to begin with, but valuable at the same time, what would you suggest?
So it's got to be, if you're brand new or maybe you're a struggling agent, I would say you're going to take one of two paths. It's either you're going to go out your own and figure out like what growing this on your own is, or you're going to bolt on and integrate into a team. Either way, it's looking for business immediately. Your fastest pieces of business are going to come from the people you know. So whenever you're looking at starting, like I'm not even saying SOI or YouTube or anything like that. Start with people you know. If you're in an area where you don't know anybody, then I would get on video and posting as much as possible. But it comes down to like, I hear this a lot too. And have a class coming to you soon. I will travel about starting YouTube. What would I do if I was like, when I started YouTube, it's the same thing that I do today in how I figure out the content. If you're not sure what to make content about, go to like the easiest place is Google. There's also another website called Answer the Public. And those two, like, what are people asking? Because that's the pain point that drove me to start YouTube, was I was answering the same questions every week over and over and over again. And I was like, how can I answer those questions and still get those people to come to me? And that's the power of YouTube, is all you're doing is creating a script, a dialogue around the questions that somebody is going to ask. So that's going to be in two different forms. It's going to be either a talking head style, which is what we're doing right here, and you're just going to provide information and have B-roll. This is actually, I think, one of the easiest ways to do it, but it's going to not have the highest return back. I have found just in my research that vlogging, so actually going out on location, showing, you can do it with your iPhone. You can do it, you can go out and buy like an Osmo 3, I think is what it is. And it's just this little camera, really easy to use. And make sure you have good audio. As long as those things kind of align, go video yourself making content about the real estate questions that you get on a regular basis about your hyper-local area. So for Greenville, you can go, I posted a video this past week where it was like, why people regret moving to Greenville, South Carolina, or, why is everybody leaving? I was like, well, actually everybody's not leaving, but let me tell you the two reasons why. If somebody's going to move away from here, here's why. It's not because they don't like it. It's because of this point and this point. I do house tours as well, but I show my face. Faceless videos will only get you so far. People want to know you. Like, we are emotional, interactive creatures. So, like, that's something that I think we crave even more today because we went through COVID. And we were ostracized from each other. So I would say come up with, like, sit down and plan your month. You need 4 content ideas. You're going to post one great video once a week at the same time every week. And then just do it consistently. Then once you've done that consistently and you feel like you've mastered it, like I'm 4 years in and I just feel like I'm getting to this point. Add another video, add more content, because more content isn't going to hurt anything. So if you're scared about doing video, just do it. Don't watch your videos. Have an editor do this for the first little bit until you have the courage to watch your videos, and then go find some training. Successful realtors find training and they learn, and they're constantly trying to, find the next thing that's going to help them be better. So read books. I would recommend going and checking out Channel Junkies. They are probably the best realtor YouTube training that I've seen. Go read the book, The Billion Dollar Channel Method by Jackson Wilkie. Listen to it. It's a riot. But those right there, if you did that when you were just starting and really like wanting to ramp up, I would do that in a box.
Amazing advice. I absolutely love it. I'm going to check out those 2 resources as well that you just mentioned. And
tell them I sent you.
I will. I will for sure. Aubree, this has been amazing. I really, really appreciate you joining the podcast. I feel like there's so much more we could talk about, so I do want you to come back at some point in the future. Would love to follow up, circle back, and have another conversation. For listeners who want to learn more about you and connect with you, what's the best way?
Well, you can go and Google my name, Aubree Lewis, Aubree, not an EY. If you Google me in Greenville, South Carolina, I pop up really easy. You can go to our website. You can go follow us on YouTube, and we can talk that way. That's probably the easiest ways to get a hold of me.
And for listeners of this podcast who are streaming audio only from one of the podcast directories, I recommend checking out the video version on our YouTube channel at Epic Agents Podcast on YouTube, and check out Aubree's studio setup and background. It's really, really cool. So great job, Aubree. Great connecting with you. And thanks again so much. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Jeff. It was a pleasure.